We really enjoyed reading your comments in response to our previous video. Martin Brundle forced to quit as Sky F1 backed Lewis Hamilton to win his 8th title in Ferrari debut, and are encouraged to see that we are all on the same page. In this video, we will be tracking the evolution of Sky's coverage from the time the transfer was announced last February, to the time of his arrival at Ferrari, almost a year later. A lot has gone on since the transfer that rocked the whole of Formula One and the wider community was announced, which provides a revealing insight into how Lewis Hamilton news is reported. But, before going further, we would like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of what happened in Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. The transfer news provided Sky and other media the opportunity to produce a myriad of articles, clips, documentaries, specials, and whatever else they could come up with, discussing the whys, wherefores, and whatever else they could come up with. We present the opening segment from one such clip for your information, titled, "Can Lewis Hamilton win an 8th Formula One World Championship with Ferrari?" This clip was notably produced on the 1st of February last year, while awaiting confirmation of the transfer. Interestingly, speculating about why Sir Lewis was motivated to move, Karen Chandhok, the nearly F1 driver turned pundit, started off by suggesting that, perhaps the GOAT had lost confidence in the Mercedes project, and didn't believe they could give him the chance to fight Verstappen for the title, and he was therefore lured by the romance of driving for Ferrari, in lieu of a chance to compete for the title. Ted Kravitz, who to his eternal credit induced a Verstappen boycott, but has perhaps been looking to inveigle his way back into his employer's good books, echoed his colleagues' views, on the assumption that Verstappen and Red Bull had everything locked down until 2026. When the new regulations will come into effect. As we highlighted in our previous video, this was the norm in F1, where it typically took the introduction of new regulations to dethrone a world champion driving in a dominant car. Even though Red Bull had the early advantage at the beginning of the 2021 season, Mercedes and Sir Lewis came in strong mid-season and would have both finished as title holders if not for the Liberty Media-induced FIA rigging. It was clear from their answers that they did not see Ferrari as a viable option for someone who wanted to compete for the title.
We've got, a trinity of experts here to give us their perspective on the huge news today. Karun Chandhok, Ted Kravitz, and a 1996 world champion Damon Hill as well. Karun, the why question is the big one, I think, in all of this. Why has Lewis Hamilton decided at the age of 39 Ferrari is the right place for him?
That is the biggest question, and I think that's something we all want to hear from him because, as recently as a few months ago, in fact, I think it was the 31st of August, they announced the new 2-year contract at Mercedes starting in this beginning of this year for 24 and 25. And somehow, somewhere, he's either lost confidence in the Mercedes project and doesn't believe they can give him a chance to fight Max Verstappen, or B, it is just that romantic lure of, as this image shows, being in red. And yeah, I'd love to hear from him really and see what he has to say.
Yeah. Is it heart or head, Ted?
Probably both. I mean, while we're waiting for official confirmation from either Mercedes that he's not going to fulfill his newly signed contract, or for Ferrari that he's going to join him in a year's time, we should say thank you, Ferrari, and thank you, Lewis Hamilton, for exploding the drivers' market that had looked very static for this year. But it is for next year, and I think Lewis Hamilton, he had to ask himself one question, and that was, can I win another championship at Mercedes? And if the answer to that was yes, then he's got this year to do it. But if the answer to that is no, and he thinks that Red Bull are going to win the next championship this year and probably 2025 and who knows about 2026, then he thinks, well, my career is going to end maybe in the next 4 or 5 years. I'd like to drive for Ferrari one day. And then, in that regard, it makes sense.
I mean, so you're saying in a way a couple of years without winning at Ferrari is better than maybe a couple of years without a guaranteed title at Mercedes. Well, let's see.
Their opinions were probably informed by the fact that Ferrari had finished the 2023 season in third, 3 points behind Mercedes, with less than half the points accumulated by the dominant Red Bull. Sir Lewis, who had ended the season in third place behind both Red Bull drivers, also finished the season with less than half the points of the runaway leader Verstappen, who was breaking records more sensationally than Lance Armstrong. It took the level-headed former world champion Damon Hill to make the clinical assessment that Sir Lewis had seen the writing on the wall at Mercedes and had concluded that he had a better chance of winning his 8th at Ferrari.
Well, let's see what Damon Hill thinks. Is his best chance, if we rule out Red Bull, is Lewis's best chance of winning an 8th world title at Ferrari, is it a better opportunity than Mercedes, staying put?
I think if Lewis genuinely thought that the 8th title was guaranteed, or a good 50-50 chance of happening if he stayed at Mercedes, he would have stayed. So I think that he's got to the point where he's probably heard the music coming out of Mercedes maybe a few too many seasons and started to think, well, you know, I need to invigorate my final years in Formula One. What better way to do it than to drive for Ferrari? At least I've got a chance. If it goes wrong, at least I tried.
Yeah.
Now, some of you may think it is a coincidence that Damon Hill is no longer at Sky, but to us, it looks like that is not an environment that nurtures straight talkers, but what the heck. Needless to say, his former colleagues both agreed that the move was a lack of confidence vote in Mercedes, but did not reckon much of his chances at a lower-ranked Ferrari. Notably, we have not come across anyone that has complimented Sir Lewis on what another former world champion and Verstappen supporter, Jenson Button, has acknowledged was a brave move by someone who still wants to compete for the title.
So who knows, and this definitely makes it an interesting year for us, looking forward to 2025 already. We still have another year of Formula One to look forward to, but 2025, yeah, this is proper exciting. But for Lewis, this is a brave move, and a lot of respect to him, because he's not just going to another team. He's going to Ferrari. He's going to a team where they speak Italian, a language he doesn't know, a language that Charles does know very well. This is a biggie. So, yeah, I'm excited for this, and this is, as everyone has already said, is great for F1.
As far as Sky were concerned, Max and Red Bull were locked-in favourites until 2026, and Sir Lewis was off to Ferrari on a romantic notion and collect a paycheck. Well, lo and behold, the 2024 season ended with Max careering to his 4th before the mid-season break, while Red Bull finished a distant 3rd, as their dominance evaporated mid-season, when the FIA came calling. Ferrari, on the other hand, finished a strong 2nd on an upward trajectory, a mere 13 points behind surprise winners, McLaren. Consequently, now at the beginning of the 2025 season, not only does Sir Lewis have a better chance of winning than if he had stayed at Mercedes, but he is also now a genuine title contender. So much so that Sky are now openly talking about him as such, and have made it clear that their fortunes are aligned to him going on a title run and possibly winning his 8th at Ferrari. But have any of those talking heads that wrote off his chances when the transfer was announced last year given him any credit for making the move, or have they just jumped on the Hamilton Express, without any self-reflection? If you have come across any pundits, Sky or elsewhere, who had previously written off the move to Ferrari as a vanity project but have since given Sir Lewis credit for making the brave switch, do let us know in the comments section. Forza Ferrari.